All right, so we're at MAGFest 2020 talking to DiscoCactus.
That's us. Hi. Sweet.
Want to give us a little bit of information about your guys' backgrounds as musicians and how you got into video game music?
Sure. Why don't we all introduce ourselves and we'll get into that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Want to go down the line?
Go down. We'll start with Doug because he's Mr. Band Leader.
Okay. All right. So hi, my name is Doug Perry. I am a percussionist. I actually work as a classical percussionist. I play in orchestras and I teach at a university. Do like studio recordings and stuff like that. But I'm also very involved with video game music, doing things like playing video game music on Twitch, recording for video game soundtracks, and playing with DiscoCactus. So. Me? Yes.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Mateus. I am a violinist in DiscoCactus, and I also have had the pleasure of working in the video game industry in these past few years. I was actually introduced to this area of music by my dearest friend Doug in a MAGFest a few years ago, or many years ago. I don't know. It's all blurry now. I don't know. And yeah, I've been doing a lot of recording and performing video game music. Yes.
Hey, I'm Will Roger. I'm primarily a game music composer. I just worked on Mortal Kombat 11. I wrote the score for that with many of the folks here as my featured soloists, as well as Call of Duty World War II and a couple others. I play flute in DiscoCactus, and it means a lot to me that they allow me to keep playing with it. And yeah, I really love video game music. I've been a fan ever since Final Fantasy VII, back 25 years ago or a million years ago. And I got started by doing lots of transcriptions of game music, and then I kind of moved into composition, and yeah, here I am.
Okay. Hi, sorry. I'm Ben Wallace. I'm sorry, I have a stuttering issue. I'm Ben Wallace. I'm the keyboard player in DiscoCactus. I'm a composer, piano player, percussionist, arranger, conductor sometimes. I'm actually currently pursuing a doctorate in musical arts in composition at the Yale School of Music at the moment. Graduating 2021, yeah. But it's like, yeah, I compose mostly like in the classical sphere, so I've worked with people like the Albany Symphony, Sandbox Percussion, Grand Band, places, things like that. But I was also sort of introduced to this world through Doug Perry the first time he took Mateus and I to MAGFest, and that's where we met Will. And we've just been having a lot of fun, like arranging music, and it's been great.
My name is Laura Intravia, and I'm a eweeb and flutist and vocalist for DiscoCactus. I work primarily in the video game industry as a vocalist and woodwind player for video game soundtracks. I'm most well known for my work as a soloist of Video Games Live. I toured with them for about 10 years and appeared as a guest vocalist with Journey with the Fifth House Ensemble and Pokemon Symphonic Evolutions, and that's really where I got connected to soundtracks specifically. Started as a concert performer, and then I met a lot of composers that way, and that's how I got connected to working on the soundtracks themselves. And I am also a composer and arranger, although primarily a performer. I've done a little bit of work composing for video games, and I do a lot of arranging for DiscoCactus. So try to keep things like I like wearing many different hats.
Hello, I'm Sam Bobinski. I'm the bass player of DiscoCactus. I have a background in classical performance in double bass, and I actually started in the band on double bass and switched to electric. I kind of go back and forth between them, but it's mostly electric now. I'm also an arranger. I've arranged for a couple small orchestras in like the Boston, Massachusetts area, and I've done some arranging projects with Materia Collective and with DiscoCactus. I've done a little work in the video game industry. I was also on Mortal Kombat 11 and a couple other things. And I also have a day job in arts administration. Admin. All right, here you go. I blew it. There you go.
I'm Pete Bobinski. I play guitar in DiscoCactus, sometimes clarinet as well. I also play piano. As far as musical background, I guess I learned classical music. In school, I learned to play piano and clarinet, and I kind of learned guitar on my own. I know these guys mostly through Sam, and then by extension Doug, and then kind of just went from there. I have, as far as video game music, I like some people here, I have composed for a non-zero number of video games. And I, as a day job, I'm an audio engineer. I work in audio post-production, mostly within audiobooks.
Also, real quick, I just want to say that Pete and I, we're obviously brothers. We're obviously twin brothers. We played a lot of video games when we were kids, and we were never super aficionados of the music or anything until after college, actually. We didn't play a lot of games in, like, college, and then afterwards we, like, got in touch with Doug and we're playing video game music, and we started listening to it all again. It's like, damn, this shit slaps.
You gotta bleep that out, though.
All right. Actually, do you want to talk about how DiscoCactus started?
Yeah, I would love to. So, the band basically formed. Actually, I guess the earliest inkling of this band being a thing was back when Mateus and I, and Ben, and eventually Sam, were all in grad school together at the Yale School of Music. Mateus and I were teaching, or helped doing a teaching assistantship for a class called Hearing. It was a class on how to hear. I'm not really going to explain that further than that. That's just what the class was called. And yeah, it's like an ear training class. And we had a big entrance exam type thing that we were proctoring. And we had some extra time, and at the end I sat down at the piano and started playing something from Mario, I think, just because I was bored.
And then I was like, what?
He pulled out his violin and started playing along, and I was like, oh man, this is really cool. And eventually, I met Ben at some point. We started talking about Banjo-Kazooie music, and we started playing in this ensemble together. Even though we were all classical musicians, we really wanted to try other things and play other styles of music. So we were doing actually sort of these weird chamber pop arrangements of things like Deadmau5 and Earth, Wind and Fire and Daft Punk, yeah. Just in our spare time at school. And eventually we started doing video game music in that configuration as well. So I have been coming to MAGFest for a very long time. My first one was in 2007, and I thought, oh man, these guys would love MAGFest. So I invited Mateus and Ben to come with me. Sam was not yet in school with me, so I did not invite him. And sorry, Sam.
That's fair. Makes sense.
And but yeah, so we came to MAGFest, and I had always wanted to play at MAGFest. I never had by this point. So I just thought, you know what? I've got my friends here. They're all great musicians, and I want to perform at MAGFest. We don't have stage time. I'm just going to wheel my vibraphone over there. It was over there. It was back there. Yep. This is before we had jam pods. I was just doing it by my own volition. I knew I was breaking the rules. I wanted to do it though, and Will was there too. I'd known Will for a couple years by this point, and he had been hanging out with us. So he had his flute with him. We just started jamming in the hallway, and I should also say we were joined by another friend of ours whose name is also Sam, and he also plays bass, but he is not this Sam. I just got to throw that out. His name is Sam Suggs, a good friend of ours. But we set up over there, started jamming. People started listening, and eventually some MAGFest staff or somebody on staff here came over and was standing there waiting for us to stop. And I was thinking, oh, this is it. They're going to kick us out. And he said, I just want to say, do you guys need anything? Like water? Everybody good? I was like, yeah. And then I think the CEO, I think it might have been Nick Marinelli at this time. The CEO came over and handed us a bunch of mag points that we could use in the vendor areas. You just want to say this is exactly the kind of thing we want to promote here. So we're like, wow, this was really fun. We should keep doing this sort of thing. And not long after this happened, we started applying to perform as this band that we call DiscoCactus. Now, DiscoCactus is named after an expression marking Ben used in a piece that we had done when we were in school. The name comes from the little sticker on Facebook of a cactus going. And we were doing the Rite of Spring in a disco style, and Ben was thinking about that cactus going in a section that was decidedly disco. So he wrote DiscoCactus there for us to know how to play it. I mean, it's not very informative actually, but we always liked it. We always talked about it. And you were saying the other day that one of the members of the group playing this arrangement, every time we get there, he would just shout DiscoCactus, and that became a thing. So when we were playing here and somebody asked what our band was called, we were just like, DiscoCactus. And
Play that sometime?
yeah, absolutely. It's literally how the name stuck. So we kept applying as DiscoCactus after that, and then finally one year we were asked to play at Mag Classic in Alexandria, and then shortly after we're invited to play at MAGFest 2016, and that's kind of how the band got started and how we kept going.
Awesome, cool. Any platforms or groups that you guys use like online, or like, I mean, obviously MAGFest has been important for you guys for collaboration and meeting people. Any other like groups that you can recommend to other musicians that might be interested in getting into the kind of stuff you do?
Do you want to handle that?
Sure. So, as far as platforms go, we found that like trying to get local shows, while it's doable, it's difficult and it's hard to get a lot of people there. One of the most useful platforms for us actually has been Twitch. We've been doing a lot of shows streaming online, and we found that it's a much more direct way to connect with the kind of audience that's interested in the kind of music that we do. So that's one thing that I would say to like musicians looking to like, or other bands that are interested in trying to put their music out there and they think they have something unique is, if you do a Twitch stream, if you can figure out how to do that, that's a great way to access a lot of people in like a very disparate locations that could actually bond and form a community around what you do eventually. That's not to say that the first time you log on to Twitch, you're going to have like a sold out show or whatever, I mean, the first couple times I ever streamed, only a handful of people showed up, but after we started doing our DiscoCactus band streams, we definitely have more people who watch that and support us that way than we do in a show at a bar, Otherwise, I think as far as, putting your music out there, it's great to learn a little bit about music licensing, especially in the video game music world. There are a lot of companies out there that you can go through to like help license your music so you can get out there. There's one called Sounddrop that a lot of us work with. There's a group called Materia Collective that a lot of us have actually made music under as well. And so that would be the other thing, is to sort of seek out those sorts of resources so that you know how to distribute your music, because a lot of folks get stuck at that point. They come up with like a great idea and they go, how do I get it out there? Oh, I don't know. I don't know how this works. So. Yeah.
Cool. Any closing thoughts on MAGFest or video game music in general?
It's dope. I mean, MAGFest is the reason we're a band. It's the reason we're all here. We're all here. It's what brought us together. It's kind of what continues to bring people together. Like, most of our fan base are people that we have met through MAGFest or through the MAGFest like grapevine. Like people who tell friends who tell their friends and tell their friends and things like that. Who else has any thoughts on that?
I was gonna say, like, I feel like the band wouldn't really exist without MAGFest in many ways, partially because I feel like it all started from like that one hallway jam we did, because like it was so much fun and it was so spontaneous, and we did it like 2 days in a row, and I think we got these little crowds of people forming around us, and I think that's what was sort of like the ignition spark to sort of get the whole thing off the ground. So we kind of owe our existence to MAGFest in many ways.
So MAGFest, if you're listening, we please send all checks to discocactusmusic@gmail.com on PayPal.
The one part from one of the jams that we did that I wanted to share, which I think I cherish that memory very dearly, is when we were in a hallway. And we're like, oh yeah, like what other tune can we jam on? And then somebody suggested, oh, can you guys play like the theme from the menu from Mario 64? And then one of us just knew like the first 4 bars, which is literally just like 2 chords. And then, wait, how does it go? Yeah, and the second part with is which is where it changes a little bit. Nobody remembered, but we jammed on the first 2 chords for literally like 25 minutes.
Anyway. Anybody else have any thoughts? No? I'm all out of thoughts. But we love MAGFest.
Some good thoughts.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks
We
for
love
chatting,
MAGFest.
guys. Have a good rest of your MAGFest.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.